Howdy.
We are here for some holidays, and by that, with a Z. Because...
H-O-L-S. No. E? I never learned how to spell.
It's alright, LeFou.
A fun little combination of holiday and days, because that's what these movies leave us in. Dazed and confused.
We are very dazed after... I don't want to say this week, actually. I wasn't that tired.
These were fun. I liked a lot of these movies. But before we get right into that, let's get into the meat of this. Who are you?
I've been asking myself that question for years.
Well, less philosophically, and more personally. What's your name?
My Dora the Explorer voice. Do you know who I am? But hi, I'm a Schwilliam, a William. I'm open to many names. And I am just your average Joe who does a game, does a baking, and likes to watch not the best movies, which is part of why we're here.
And I'm Tyler, /a jazz, /a jazzy. And I don't like to watch movies.
That's true.
But I do like Hallmark movies because I grew up with them alongside my mother and other various family members that would put them on while I was around. Mm-hmm. And I'm just too lazy to get up and move, so I would just watch them. And I mean, you know, some of these are fine.
Were you ever familiar with the Lawrence Welk show?
No, not at all.
Okay. My
name does not ring a bell.
That is fine. My parents and family being, I'm assuming, older than yours, yes. All I remember was Lawrence Welk was kind of like a variety music show that would come on back in the day. And my grandma loved it to death. And I was like, this isn't too bad. But I just remember my mom and my aunt both being like, I hate Lawrence Welk. So that lives with me. But I feel that in the same vein.
My past is, I think, as a person who grew up in a predominantly female household. Mm-hmm. Not to cast stones or anything like that. Yeah. But my mother was very much so into like the Hallmark, romance, stuff like that. She enjoyed a good romance story. Hell, my mom still wants to go take a trip to one of those Christmas villas that exist in the world, where it's like Christmas 24/7 or whatnot. Or
honestly, that sounds like a good time. Anyway.
Open up like a bunch of like things, or like have like it's a big tourist sort of deal. But I mean, I'd go. She's offered to like be like, hey, do you want to go with me one year? And I'm like, sure, one day. I wouldn't mind. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how people do that kind of thing in the world. See how that is their culture, more or less, even if it is, not to be mean, but probably a tourist trap for specifically people that enjoy this kind of thing, which, I mean, hey, Christmas is a wonderful time of the year.
I mean, look, it's like how everyone's like, oh, let's go to Disney, and I'm the Universal person. Like, let's put that out there first of all. But go to Dollywood, y'all. Like,
just go to Dollywood.
Go somewhere that's gonna actually, like, be worth your time and money, and also not support a massive capitalist venture that's going to try and take over and ruin your life. And instead, an ally.
But this isn't the Disney podcast.
No. But we do have some anti-capitalism from one of these movies, which I do love.
What this is you might notice, depending on when you're listening to this, or if you like check the date as to when this was posted, this is not something we are putting out in December, which is colloquially known as the Christmas month. We're doing this in July, specifically because we love Christmas so much, and we can't wait, and it is Christmas in July this month. We are gorging ourselves like a giant platter of food has been presented before us, and watching a bunch of Hallmark Christmas movies all throughout the month, each with its own theme that we've picked out from way too much.
There are so many tropes in Hallmark movies, which is not... I am never the person. We are not here to be CinemaSins and say trope bad. Movies.
I don't even want to be like cynical about things. I think these movies are genuinely enjoyable.
Yeah.
But we are, at the end of the day, both critical people.
Yes.
And we do enjoy talking about like what we do and don't like about something.
I think Hallmark movies have a bit of a rap going for them of being just the same stories, and they kind of are. in some ways.
They share a lot of themes.
Yes, they have a lot of the same themes in them, which is always going to be the boy meets girl, love is tested, love prevails, etc., etc. Which, like, there's nothing wrong with that, technically. It is fine to have happy endings to your movies and to your characters. And it does get samey, and it can be a bit of, like, schlock, I want to say, with a lot of Hallmark things. But at the end of the day, like, a rom-com, just because it's made by Hallmark, doesn't mean it's going to be better or worse than, like, a big budget film. And I think that they do kind of get a bit of a rap for that, because it's like, Hallmark tends to be where, like, actors seem to go if they don't have a lot to do, or just the wanting to get a paycheck kind of thing. But it doesn't make them any less good of actors. It doesn't mean that the writers are not going to be better than big budget studios kind of thing. If anything, I think it's a bit commendable for them to work within what budgetary restrictions they might have and just see where they go.
It's something I haven't looked into yet, but I think I might, depending on what happens next episode or things we want to discuss with it. But just the idea of how many of these movies they've put out into the world, there are so many Hallmark Christmas movies. I'm sure if anyone's ever seen them, I'm sure everyone has seen at least one, even if, like, by accident, or at least you know of them.
Yeah.
That they obviously produce a lot of them, but it's very interesting to, like, think that they must have some decent budget, or, like, they work within their constraints really well.
Yeah.
Because none of these movies look cheap. They're all shot, like, on location. Well, not exactly. Some of them are not shot.
Yeah.
Some of them seem to be portrayed at a specific place, but are not shot there, as we might discuss in the first one.
It is, as I said, partly as a joke about one of the movies, but I still think it can apply to others, is these are not actors standing in front of a green screen 90% of the time.
Yes.
They, of course, do have moments of this where it's like, yeah, obviously it's green screened, but the actors are actually there talking to each other. And a lot of times they do have, like, actual sets for things. It's not all CGI, green screen, etc. And I think that works in their favor, because that really can get away from those practical effect things, and it's just not as fun.
And so this was our sort of adventure into the world of holiday movies. Specifically for this month, with the Christmas themes that we are going with, we decided to pick 3 movies that each exemplified a theme commonly found within Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah.
This week's was A Magical Christmas. Christmas movies that deal in some sort of strange magical scenario that is put upon the characters, whether that is done to them by Santa Claus or ghosts, ?
A guardian
of people they knew in the past.
Sometimes.
Or maybe by Christopher Lloyd. He just shows up and decides to kidnap a woman.
Is pretty magical, yeah.
He is magical. But these were common themes that we found within some of them, and decided to pick a few. The 3 we decided on were movies called A Kiss Before Christmas, Next Stop Christmas, and Boyfriends of Christmas Past. Each very different from each other. They, while each shared a lot of similar themes,
yeah,
like previously said, all extremely different movies, and I honestly didn't think from my feelings on them, I wasn't sure how I would feel about 2 of them, and I liked the idea of one of them, but I came out pleasantly surprised with a lot of it. They were very enjoyable.
I want to say preemptively that the ones you might not have been expecting as much from, you enjoyed more than the one you did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of thought one of them was going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
And it turned out it wasn't. It was fun. It was good. And then the one I was like, oh, this might be fun. It was okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, let's get right into the meat of it. We're only going to spend a little bit of time, maybe 15 to 20 minutes on each. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how long-winded we are discussing each of these movies. And first up on the plate is A Kiss Before Christmas, starring James Denton and Terry Hatcher as Ethan and Joyce Holt. James Denton and Terry Hatcher, this is not their first time starring opposite each other in a piece of media as they were husband and wife in a lot of episodes of Desperate Housewives. They played Mike and Susan Delfino as like two of the main characters of that show. And sorry, Desperate Housewives spoilers until Mike's death at one point. But,
oh my god.
But they still brought him back, of course, in a few things, I'm sure. Susan herself played throughout the entire series run. Terry Hatcher also can be heard as the voice of Coraline's mother, Mel Jones, and the other mother in the movie Coraline.
Huh. Good for her.
So these are not like... These are people that have done a lot of acting in the past.
Yeah.
They're prolific actors in their own right. And while I have never watched any Desperate Housewives, I at least know that these are big things to people. And it is very fun to see, like, while it is interesting to see you still have work out there, like you are still putting yourselves out there, even if it is, this is not meant to be a rude or derogatory statement, even if it is with like a production like this, that is still, in all intents and purposes, a very fun movie.
Yes.
But, what is the lowdown of A Kiss Before Christmas?
So, our little bitty summary. Thank you to the Hallmark Channel website for your 31 Days of Christmas for Christmas in July. We preemptively will say did go over the list, which is where we got some of these options from. But doing 31 Christmas movies would not leave us a lot of time for anything else. So
we had like other ideas for what this show might be. And we had to scrap some of it and like fine tune it into something that would be more listenable. And I think what we ended up on will be a very fun experiment.
So Kiss Before Christmas, our plot is Ethan is a married father with 2 teens. He wakes up one morning and is shocked to find he isn't married, doesn't have kids, and he's CEO of his company. His wife is the key to be able to reclaim his original life and family. So we started out with Ethan being, in my wording, a distant father, but he's not a dick about it. He's kind of cool endearing, guy. Honestly.
He's sort of fumbling. He's not he's not distant because he doesn't care about his family. He cares a lot about his family. He's just someone who, and this is, again, a common theme found in these movies, he's a little married to his job. He is someone who is very much so like, I have a job to do and I'm going to do it. Things don't always go great there, but I still love my family. He loves his wife, who he's been married to for 20 years. They met after getting into the same elevator together.
Getting stuck in the same elevator
after getting
stuck hours.
For hours and hours, and coming out with a new connection with each other that they obviously continued to follow up through. They have 2 adopted children.
Which is a nice take, honestly.
Yeah, it was actually nice. It's like, oh, okay. It's nice to see that this isn't just, oh, here's our kids. Yeah. And obviously, since to get to the magical aspect of this, this has to do with vague time travel / reality altering.
Yeah.
How do we keep the kids in the movie when the movie revolves around the 2 parents having never met each other?
Yes.
And the way around that is, oh, well, the kids are adopted.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's a good way of keeping these children in the movie and actively showing Ethan the consequences of sort of his own personal selfish Christmas wish.
Yeah. What I want to say that was an interesting take to this also is the having the adopted kids, the up and down side, not to that, but just the relationship with the kids in general, is the kids don't do a lot. They don't have a lot of personality. The son is shown to almost kind of have this like jock looking exterior, but he's like, I like to cook and I want to go to Paris to study cooking.
Yeah, he's on the football team, but he also just extremely enjoes baking and he wants to have a future as a baker. Meanwhile,
the sister likes soccer.
Yeah. She's sporty. She wants to go to a sports camp. They don't have anything else going for them. They don't do anything else in the movie. The aspect of them being adopted is never... It's only brought up, really, to kind of, I guess, explain why they are there still, or how we are to keep them there. But we don't dive into anything about, oh, why did they adopt? Was there any issues?
But there is, what I will say, a pleasant thing of the main stars of this movie are not 20-somethings.
No.
They are probably in their 50s to 60s, I want to assume.
I would say
in the present day scenario.
I would say being more generous, probably late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
I would peg them somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But they are not like young, like 20-something / early 30s, like characters, and it's fun to have like an older couple.
Exactly.
Like this isn't a movie about discovering love. It's about like finding out like what you are missing. Like,
yes.
Look, see what you have around you, and remember to hold it tighter instead
right.
of like letting it go. Like things might be different, but what you have is good, and you shouldn't like want to like have that let go of that for whatever reason.
We do have this we have things with the wife also where she wants to be a lawyer, but she's currently a school teacher. But it's never like, oh, she's just a happy little homemaker. Like, no, she has her own goals and aspirations. Her husband is supportive, but is also in this kind of place of being, I want to say, a little stretched too thin. He wants to provide for all of his family, but he is concerned that he's not making enough money.
And he sort of sees his job as sort of not dead end, but his boss is kind of an asshole and is expecting him to like... His boss is expecting him to do some underhanded /
Yeah, he works at a development company.
Bad things.
That the owner of the company, as we find out through the course of the movie, is a good person. She is a businesswoman who is about respect, honor, dignity. We need more of those in life. But his guy, I guess he's been working for years, or with for years, is the kind of businessman who's like, yeah, I'll buy out under people. We need to just get what we need to do. It doesn't matter who we kind of step on in the process. And kind of expresses that Ethan is too good of a guy, and that's why he's never going to get ahead in life.
He's too nice.
Yeah. Which leads us to Magic Man. The jolly old red man.
The Magic Man shows up, and by that we mean Santa himself. He had a very quick appearance early in the movie, in the first shot, and then shows up again to Ethan and says, "Hey, I see that you're sort of you're having a weird moment in your life, and you're wondering, oh, what would it be like if things had just... What if I would have gotten in that elevator with my boss all those years ago instead of my wife? Like, would I be better off?" And Santa gives him a little smile and a little mischievous wink, and is like, "Oh, buddy, let's make it happen.
We are going to fuck around and find out.
We are going to fuck around and find out." And so Ethan doesn't think anything of it. He goes and falls asleep at a chair at the train station, I think. I think he's at a station of some kind.
It's like a train or a subway station, because the crux of this is there is a newspaper stand on a block his company is trying to buy, and Ethan's partner, accomplice, whatever, is trying to push him to just buy the property and get rid of this like newsstand.
And screw over the owner of it, who is a nice woman whose family has run this spot for generations.
Yeah, which...
and is a mainstay within the Chicago area.
Yeah, he finds a way to get her to give up the property on her terms that she's comfortable with, and works for the company as well. But
to
that's
the displeasure
not good enough
of his boss, who lied to his boss, the previously mentioned like cool CEO lady Rona.
Right.
He lied to her and said, "No, I already took care of it. It's fine."
Yeah.
And so this obviously all falls on Ethan to go fix it, and when he does, the meeting with Santa happens, and as he falls asleep, he wakes up the next morning, not realizing it yet, but as we ourselves come to learn that it is December 1st and not December 24th anymore, he has been transported both back in time and to a different reality, where he did get on the same elevator as his boss. He never got on the one with his wife. He is now co-partners of, I believe, Doyle and Holt Development Company.
Yeah. Rona has retired, and the two of them retired.
And the two of them run the show. He is a very wealthy and powerful man, and he's excited. He's happy about it. He gets back to his office where he doesn't have a little small desk anymore. Yeah. He's got his own big office. He's met all the presidents except one of them. We're not going to talk about it.
Thanks,
and
Hallmark.
He's met so many famous people, and it's awesome. But there's something weird in that. Wait a minute. The woman that is his
Where's
wife.
my wife?
This is not my beautiful house, and this is not my beautiful wife. Instead, she is an opposing lawyer who is in direct competition to his company buying over and probably demolishing this
community center
that she has been hired by to defend and protect the rights of.
Mm-hmm.
For a moment, he's like, wait a minute, something weird's happening. And before he discovers everything, he's sort of Santa. Enjoying it like, oh, this ain't so bad, I guess. I mean, I don't have my wife, but I could win her back.
Yeah.
I could, like, talk to her. And he sort of gets into it.
And lo and behold, it is revealed that's exactly what he needs to do.
Santa keeps showing up. Santa will not stop stalking this
Santa
man.
breaks into his house magically.
He breaks into his house like a scene from The Strangers, where no one sees it except for one of the characters as Santa mysteriously walks into the frame and then out of it a second later. Santa's a cryptid.
Yes. As he always has been.
As he always has been. And Santa does spell it out to him right then and there. Hey, you enjoy your life, and that's cool. If you like it here, you could stay here. But if you want to go back, you need to figure out what's wrong and what you are missing before Christmas Day. Or else you are going to lose all of your memories of the other reality. You're going to lose
displaced
everything.
You from your timeline into a new one.
Without your consent, timeline. Really.
Yeah.
Like, he sort of was like, oh yeah, that sounds like it'd be a good idea, but Santa's sort of like a trickster god.
It's very like
he sort of does it.
It's the monkey's paw where Santa presents him with an option of would you take the money kind of thing, like without telling him if you take the money you lose your wife kind of thing, and so he just lets him figure that out. And so now he is stuck in this timeline and has to reclaim what he has lost and recognize the importance of it in order to go back to his regular, real timeline kind of thing.
And this leads him into finding and confront in a various manner to sort of win her back, or at least win her favor. Using the knowledge of his previous life to...
he gaslights her.
Yeah, he sort of gaslights her. He sort of sends her he sends her a bunch of stuff. She loves poinsettias, which is another common theme in Christmas movies. He sends her favorite drinks. She knows everything that she likes. She's a little weirded out by it, but not that much. She's not as weirded out.
What her mother is up to, her family life, everything
She's
like
not
that.
nearly as weirded out as, like, say, you should be over a guy that you both previously should be hating and also should hate you. But she sort of chalks it up, oh, you're a rich guy. You sort of have the means to learn all this stuff about me. But she's not, like, the biggest mad that she could be. But he does win her over, in a sense. Like, he sort of convinces her, hey, I lived a completely different life. I lived in a different reality where we were happy together. We had our kids. Everything was fine. And I met Santa. And now I do want to get back. I do like it here, but also I want to get back to my real world. Will you help me? And she does say yes. Which I don't know if that was like... I think it's a little crazy coming from someone who you, again, never met previously.
Yeah.
But she seems to be a very kind and caring woman who is willing to give him the opportunity. And she does play it off like, oh, I don't believe you, but if I did, let's pretend like this is how we'd go about it. And we sort of get these moments of them spending more time together, like rediscovering
There's
a love.
Admittedly a side of like... She is working with the community center, not just to represent them, but she also volunteers there, which she did in her other life. But I think it's this kind of push for her to see the good in people. And so when she has this man who admittedly sounds completely insane, telling her about the 20-something years they've lived together, their kids, her family, her favorite things, and stuff like that. And that he is willing to give up, like, whatever he needs in order to help her and be there for her. Of course, she has a lot of concerns, but does kind of push through that and is willing to accept, okay, if this is a real thing, if this is someone who does genuinely care and wants to make a difference, then yeah, I'll take it. I'll go with it. And it works out in her favor, obviously. The things that are charming about all of this as well is this movie does show corrupt business fucking sucks.
People are willing to go behind your back and under your nose and do the worst shit to you to come out on top.
Yeah.
And screw you over.
There's a nice scene where Ethan meets with Rona and basically finds out, like, oh, whatever happened to this newsstand and everything like that. And she just kind of expresses, like, there is a right way to do business. There is being honest. There is, like, working with the community and everything like that. And this movie also does push a lot of the importance of community resources, of being supportive of others who are less fortunate and things like that. And I think that's really important to have. It's very much the spirit of what Christmas is kind of supposed to be about, as a lot of people would say, of doing things for others, giving to the needy, helping out. But what this movie also does is it doesn't push it as a religious thing. This movie is not, you should be a good person because Jesus, or whatever your denomination is kind of thing. It's just, yeah, be a good person because it's the right thing to do.
What do we owe to each other? Kindness.
Yeah, like,
good,
we should
feelings.
help our fellow man. And I think that's an important kind of thing to put out there, obviously. And again, even to the aspect of, like, oh, it's Santa Claus magic. It's not Jesus or Christmas magic or a guardian angel that makes this happen. While it is still a fantastical thing, it stays grounded in the idea of Christmas just as a holiday. So whether or not that appeals to some people who may be more religiously inclined, that's whatever. But it does have a more general openness to everyone, to, again, the idea of just, like, be a good person, be together, be supportive, because it is the right thing to do. It is the better way to be. Which, of course, they also show with his partner that, like, it's not easy always to be nice. It is not always fun to be the good person, because that's the whole thing, is Ethan feels he's not able to do enough for his family. He's not able to help. He's not able to do more because he's the nice guy. And unfortunately, that does seem to be the case in a lot of things in life, but it also shows that it does tend to be worth it in the end to be that better person.
But also because he wasn't a ruthless person like his partner. He did get a family. He did have love in his life. And we are told, like, his partner, whose first name I don't remember, but I believe his last name is Doyle, has no one in his life. He is by himself and seems to be fine with it. But also, again, he seems a little bit like a snake, as later on at a Christmas party they are throwing to help collect donations for the community center. He goes up to Joyce and tries to tell her, hey, Ethan's just sort of being nice to you to make you not care about this thing. To, like, he's trying to hype up the publicity.
It's a publicity stunt for our company. We actually don't care about the community
and there's
center,
this
etc.,
quick moment where Joyce blindly trusts this man who she probably knows is a snake and starts to, like, leave the party. But Ethan runs after her, and instead of her being like, oh, this was all for nothing, you're a dick, I'm leaving, he does stop her, tells her, hey, that's not me, that's totally him, he's lying to you and saying some bullshit to get you riled up, and they immediately work things out. It's like, it's one scene over where they just switched locations to being outside. It's not, here's the next day, here's a week later, I'm trying to convince you. They immediately work stuff out.
Which, I want to say is also part of in that favor of them not being 20-somethings. They are older, they are more adjusted, and they are willing to be like, we do need to just have this conversation and listen, rather than just kind of impulsively believing that, no, this is how it is. Like, I was lied to, but I'm going to just take it as face value.
To like have a movie like realize, okay, communication is good. We got through to each other, and we're not going to like waste time like trying to be mad at each other over a lie and then immediately get to the rest of the movie, which they work things out. Ethan cuts it close with almost forgetting everything and not realizing it in time, but Ethan and Joyce are able to profess their love for each other again, and he is transported back into his reality with a newfound lease on life. He rushes off back to his wife, back to his family, reveals to original world Rona that, hey, my boss here was lying to you, and she pops off on him, fires him on the spot.
Rona is really just ethical consumption.
She's a good person who actually cares about others in the community, and she sees she sees similar qualities in Ethan himself, and is like, well, I'm gonna have to have someone take over for me whenever I retire soon, and everything is looking up, and we leave off on this wonderful note of you come to learn that you should cherish what you have around you and not like look for what could have been different in your life. Like, how could things be better because what you have at the moment is the best form of your life for yourself.
Yeah, but it was honestly a good time. The cast works well together with everything. The writing is enjoyable. It's entertaining. The main actors have good chemistry with each other. One of my notes that I did have was obviously show versus tell. Show is going to be better, but I think one of the things that I like is because of the time jump that takes place, there are certain things that characters reveal to each other, so we learn along time with them. And I think that's a good way, rather than just kind of having these dumps of like characterization. It's like following along with the story, and it kind of does bring you in a bit more than just whatever else they could have done. So, Kiss Before Christmas, good movie.
A good movie. I give it 4 candy canes out of 5.
Yeah. 3.5 to a 4 is where I would be at for that.
Yeah, I think it is a solid movie. It has a lot to go for it. It never feels like it drags on for too long. It uses its time really well. There may be like 1 or 2 like less than enthusiastic scenes, but you know, they get past it real quickly.
Yeah. We have the peanut gallery in every movie.
Yes. And onto a movie that doesn't really know how to use its time the best. Boyfriends of Christmas Past was the next movie we watched. Starring Catherine Haina Kim. I hope I am pronouncing it correctly. As the main actress, or main character, Lauren. And opposite her, Raymond Ablack as Nate. I couldn't find much of interest on Lauren's actress, but Nate's actor starred in many episodes of Degrassi: The Next Generation as Sav Bendari. Another show I have not watched myself, but
yeah, same.
It is another pick from a well-known popular show to like slide in your sort of recognizable actor into this role as this sort of a very kind, well-meaning heartthrob character, like how Nate is, as we will come to discuss. Boyfriends of Christmas Past is about a woman, Lauren, who is visited by the ghosts of 4 ex-boyfriends. And we use the ghosts with quotation marks here.
Yeah.
Because I was hoping they would be dead.
I was wishing they were.
Because I think that'd be very interesting to have every single one of your previous relationships end up with the man you care for dying in some way or another. Yeah. But no, that's not it. They're not actually dead, as we'll come to see.
It's for anyone who's seen Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, they are dream ghosts.
Yes.
They're just in your head representations to help you sort through your own shit.
But this is the magic of this movie, is that she has to learn to open up her heart or risk losing Nate forever, who is her best friend. They care for each other so much. But Lauren comes off as the most oblivious woman in the world to Nate practically, like, throwing
this
himself
man
at her.
is like, yeah, he's giving her like heaps of attention and care and showing like, hey, I really, really, really like you and I want to see where this could go kind of thing. And she's just like, ah ha ha, you're so funny.
Cool.
It's like, girl.
And everyone around her sees it. They open
Yeah.
up on a scene with them playing like Pictionary or something with a bunch of friends
Yeah.
around the Christmas tree.
Christmas game night.
Christmas game night. I don't have the names of the other characters, but she has her best friend character plus that character's husband and a side gay couple who get a total of 3 minutes of screen time in the entire movie.
Yeah.
But hey, shout out
But
to
they're
them
there.
doing it.
They're there.
Lauren and Nate have won Christmas game night for the past 2 years, and now they have won the third, and everyone just shares looks with each other of like, how are you two not a thing? And this isn't without Nate kind of trying. He does sort of try to work up the nerve to ask her out, but he just can't do it, and Lauren is just not picking up the vibes.
She's so dense.
He's got a big heart. We learn that Lauren works in marketing, and she's got a big project coming up where she needs to try to figure out how to sell a baking sheet with a catchy slogan and everything. And Nate works in foster care. He's become a social worker because he grew up in the foster system.
It's another community center thing.
Yes, he wants better for kids that he did not have in his life.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good way of showing, like, you can very easily equate works well with the community / children to being a good person. And you get that a lot with, honestly, all three of these movies with one of the love interests, with one of the main characters. But Nate is trying his hardest, but Lauren has a few hang-ups. She has a divorced parent, her dad remarried to a very nice woman, while her mom has disappeared to go off exploring the world and does not see much contact with her daughter, which is a very obvious hang-up that Lauren has.
Which will become painfully obvious the more we go on.
So, Lauren stays up late, working on her project. She falls asleep on her couch, and is visited by the ghost of a skater boy. He said, "See you later, boy."
He wasn't good enough for her, though.
He was not. She gets visited by the apparition of her 15-year-old boyfriend, Tyler, who is he's just the most 15-year-old boy that they could grab, but honestly,
Extremely.
it still comes off really fake and weird.
Yeah. It's the very stereotypical, just like, whoa, bro, like fucking, it's very Bill and Ted kind of character.
They could have gone harder with the character, I think, for as little screen time as he has, which he just shows up to tell her, hey, I'm not really me, but you're seeing me as how you remember me.
He is the Marley
issues.
of this A Christmas Carol story. This is a reimagining of the Charles Dickens story, where instead of learning capitalism bad, this is, girl, you have issues and you need to get with this
Girl,
man.
work through your trauma.
Like, this is her therapy that she goes through in the course of a week.
It works out for her, which, I mean,
It does. But
a lot of people wish they could be like that.
The things with this movie is, again, if this had been like ghost scenario, that would have been entertaining. Alternatively, the horror of this would have been if they weren't dead, but like you just start texting your old ex-boyfriends just after years. Like that's true.
Oh,
that's
God,
true terror.
Don't do that. Don't do
Please
that.
don't. But this was also sort of like funnily like seeing your progress with partners as well. Like, how better did your men get, or worse over time?
And she got some upgrades.
Yeah, she got some glow ups as she went.
Before we get to the second boyfriend, we end up back to a scene with Lauren and Nate. We pretty much intercut every single scene of this movie with Lauren and Nate getting closer / farther apart as the movie goes on, to a visit from a boyfriend, / a scene with Lauren and Nate to a visit from a boyfriend. It rinse and repeat until the end of the movie. So it does get a little stale.
Sometimes Lauren with her family, which
yes,
I am happy and appreciative of this movie for having a Korean woman lead, with a love interest who is Indian. It's not the same white couples all over the place.
No, it is very nice to see that they centered POC
Yes.
actors and characters in
The
this.
only thing that's a little odd in a way, and it is fine if this is actually is how it is, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like they really, whenever she is with her family, drive in the point that she is Korean, because she only uses like a kind of term for her father that's not his name. It's like appa.
Appa.
And like they talk about like, oh, traditional Korean food, and when they're eating together it's always like the same Korean dishes kind of thing. And I don't know whether that's just like how it really is, which is fine, but it also just kind of feels this weird like, hey, we're Korean, by the way, we're Korean, just letting you know we're Korean, and they just push that.
It felt like they just wanted to add it for the flavor, because I think it would have been, it is not my place as a white person to maybe say like, oh, you should have done this instead, but
Right.
compare it to a movie, which another movie that centers Asian people, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And yes, they are completely different movies. Like, it is hard, it is impossible to compare these. But what would have been nice is like, you don't hear any of the characters in Boyfriends of Christmas Past ever speaking a native language, like another language. It is only English here. They never slip into any other dialect, or anything like that, even around other family or whatnot.
Right.
It is just something they don't do. They don't really dig into the past of these characters because they only have an hour and 30-minute runtime, and that's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is a romance between the main characters. But it would have been nice to add like a little bit more. It would have made it feel a bit more genuine, maybe. That's maybe my one of my gripes with this movie, is that they maybe could have focused more on their culture than they did. But as it comes to find out, Lauren every night is visited. Not every night, every few nights, or whenever she has her big downfalls, is visited by a boyfriend. The clock strikes 2, and her second boyfriend is a guitarist by the name of Jake. She dated him in college for an unspecified amount of time, or at an unspecified amount of time, but broke up with him on Christmas Eve after he asked her to come visit him, or come visit his family with him for Christmas.
After a year of being together, also.
They were together for a year, and his mom had knit her a matching Christmas sweater, which is a tradition in his household. And whenever he proposes this idea to her, she has a freak out. She has an anxiety, panic attack, and runs away. It is a trait of hers that she runs away from her problems.
Yeah.
Which is a very fun trait because it shows that, like, oh, she is very bad at dealing with this kind of confrontation. She breaks up with him on the spot that day, runs to her dorm, and is comforted by Nate.
Surprise.
Who she knew in college, who was, again, her best friend. And even back then, you can see that he has had feelings for her.
Boy cares about her.
He, instead of going to go visit his roommate's family for Christmas like he was going to, he instead decides to spend the Christmas with her now that she is open and available.
Yeah.
And supposedly, they have a great time.
Yeah. Insert more Nate Lauren having a good time.
Yes. Nate and Lauren have more good time. They meet up at coffee shop.
She's figuring out her business plan for this marketing thing.
Even though this movie takes place in Ontario, there is no Tim Hortons in sight.
No.
Instead, I believe they go... The coffee shop they visit is called, like, Stella Luna?
It's like a gelato cafe or something like that.
Apparently it's a real place. Apparently it was shot on site from what I looked up on the show notes.
The thing is also is that we are shown Lauren is juggling between her marketing job, which is coming up this week because it's like, oh, a baking company wants us to renovate their look, and the proposal is due Christmas Eve. Because, one, of course it is, because
Yeah.
that's this movie.
It's the deadline. It's always the deadline.
It also seems a little apt of kind of capitalist things where they don't really care about people to, you have to do this for Christmas Eve. As it was for
No breaks.
A Kiss Before Christmas, where the office party is held on Christmas Eve, to which he kind of says the reasoning was like, oh, well, my business partner, like, he doesn't have a family, he doesn't have anything, so Christmas Eve doesn't mean anything to him the way it does for the rest of us. So, once again, capitalism is the problem. But while balancing all this out, she does get to the third man's,
Henry,
who was an architect, I believe.
They do imply, and I believe they say outright, that he was an architect. He takes her through her Christmas tree in her living room to the worst looking modernist apartment I have ever seen in my life.
Minimalist.
It's so empty. It looks like if you took the floor plan of like a college, like a baby first apartment, spread everything out, and then just took out all the furniture.
Yeah.
It was just so empty. There was nothing there.
For
and I was
Christmas.
just like, this is ugly, dude.
Yeah. Not a good time.
Henry, they are throwing a party, I believe, for Christmas again.
Yeah.
They have been dating for 2 years at the time. And Henry, right before all of Lauren's friends get there, asks her the big question, will you move in with me? I love you. I enjoy spending time with you. I think we should move in together. And Lauren has her panic attack again. She starts panicking. She's like, are you sure we're not like rushing into things? I mean, I don't know, dude. It's a little weird.
Which I will say, if even after 2 years you are not feeling ready to move in with your partner, that is valid. That is fine. Yes. However, Lauren is a commitment phobe with issues.
She has a lot of
we are judging
when it
her
comes to
for
relationships, and
yeah,
this is not a problem, but it is a problem that she needs to work out, and she is working out currently. But it is something that maybe should have been handled, or should be handled, at some other point in time, instead of being told by your ghosts of Christmas past boyfriends, nip this shit in the bud.
I mean, admittedly, if you had dream ghosts who could sort through your problems without having to go to therapy, it would save a lot of money.
That'd be nice,
right?
We should get those. We should invent those.
Send me to Silent Hill. Let me fight my demons and come back.
No. The next day has Lauren and Nate reconnect again, and shout out to Nate, he shoots his shot.
Yeah.
And Lauren slaps that shit right out of the air.
We're just friends.
Lauren throws herself into her pitch. She sort of figures things out. She misses plans with Nick because of it, and Nick gets mad. He finally is like, okay, things have been building up for so much. You've thrown yourself way too much into your work. We had plans tonight. You know how much this meant to me. You could have texted or called or responded to any of the texts and calls that I sent you. And Lauren's just like,
nothing.
I was busy and I wasn't looking and I'm sorry. And he drops finally that he is in love with her, surprising no one, and honestly not even surprising Lauren at this point. She has to have an inkling that she is in love with him too, but obviously they end the night on a bad note because he is still mad at her and he gets to walk away from her this time. And this leads into the final X. We meet Logan. We get a few bits throughout the movie that she has not dated since this Logan that gets name dropped often.
Which is why I still thought he died.
I thought he died too because as we're going to get into, I watched the trailer for this movie before I watched the movie, and they have a scene that kind of implies that he could have died from it.
Yeah.
But Logan seems like a nice guy. He takes her on a trip to Washington, where they are going to go ziplining down a mountain.
And whining.
Yes.
Zipline and wine.
Lauren is terrified. She's like, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. And Logan's like, it's fine. We have each other.
Babe.
There's nothing to be afraid of, babe. Anyways, here's my ring.
Yeah.
I want you to marry me.
After 3 years of being together,
And she handles it like a champ, is what I would say if she handled it like a champ.
If she had not made him drop the ring and then sent him down the zip line.
And then sent him down the zip line without, like, looking like he wasn't even fully attached to it.
Yeah.
It looked like he went, like, limbs sprawled and, like, freaking out as he went down this mountain.
Zooming. He was gone. So maybe
I thought
he did
died.
die. Maybe
I don't
he did.
know. He didn't.
We don't
die.
know.
Oh,
No.
well. We can dream, Harold.
Yeah.
But she freaks out. She's obviously says no. Yet again, this prompts her to finally have that personal revelation. Finally, after all of these, she has the revelation that she's ending up like her mother. She is pushing people away and does not want to end up like that. She does not want to end up alone. And she realizes, like, yes, I am in love with Nate. I thank you, my boyfriends of Christmas past, for telling me.
What I will say that I didn't quite like is how, or this is not the thing that I didn't like, was she does go and speak to her father as well, because she's like, hey, how did you handle or deal with the fact of mom leaving you? Like, that was the love of your life. Like, what did you do? And he just explains that, like, it does get easier. You do get over the pain of loss with time, and you find new things out there. It's hard to open up again. It's scary to open up again. But when you do, you will find that there are many things out there still for you, as evidenced by his stepwife, who is shown to be a very talented cook, a very kind and caring woman who is supportive of her husband and stepdaughter. What I don't like is that with everything that happens, with her flashbacks to her boyfriends and everything, we are only ever told Lauren's mom walked out on her around Christmas, and that's why she cannot face commitment, especially around this holiday.
And none of these guys just thought to, like, not do this on Chris. I guess they didn't realize, but, like...
Yeah, because it's implied with the first boyfriend that she never told anyone besides, like, Nate.
But they dated for a year.
Yeah.
The other two dated for 2 and then 3, so she kept getting into longer and longer relationships, but they never picked up on the vibe that, oh, Lauren kind of gets weird around Christmas.
Around Christmas, yeah. But I think it would have done some good to have either a flashback where we were able to see what this encounter was, what this incident was that made her get the way she is, or she has her kind of dream ghost confrontation with her mother and is able to reconcile with herself of, I can move past this point. And we don't get that at all. Lauren's mother is only just mentioned, and that's it.
Lauren sort of gets over it.
Yeah.
Like, she has a revelation, and, I mean, it did take, like, 4 ghosts. No, we'll say 3.5 ghosts, because the first one doesn't really count.
Mm-hmm.
She does have the intervention of these ghosts to, like, get her out of her funk and realize that she is pushing Nate away and going to lose him to this random chick that has been trying to jump Nate's bones this
white girl
time.
shows up with, like, the most Invisaligned white smile that I've ever seen, and she is like, I want this man.
The horny rating is off the chart for this one.
She's all over the place on that.
Crazy how much she is like, hi.
Yeah, twirling hair.
And I mean, I get it.
Yeah. He's a good looking guy.
He is a very good looking guy.
Fun, he's nice, like, there's nothing bad there.
But, like, girl, he was not interested at all. But that doesn't matter, because Nate and Lauren are able to profess their love to each other. She rushes off after him. They have this connection with each other. Everything becomes right with the world. And finally she has gotten over her commitment phobia and her Christmas phobia and invites Nate to Christmas with her family. There is an undetermined amount of time that passes here. That's a little, okay, it's a little weird because I don't remember if I missed some time skip or not. But from what I remember of the movie is at one point they are professing their love for each other and everything's good. And she's like, okay, now have Christmas with my family like tradition dictates. And then they're doing Christmas with the family and he proposes to her. And this feels like it's only been a few days. Like, it doesn't feel like they've been dating for that long, unless I missed something, or there was a tell that I wasn't aware of. But it sort of feels like... It is
pretty vague, honestly, yeah.
It just sort of feels like he just busts out the marriage proposal, like, right as they, like, days after they've started dating. Yeah. And she's obviously like, oh my god, yes.
Can I do this? Can I do this?
He also does it in front of her family, which is a little weird. I don't know. I have some issues with the ending here.
No,
he does it right in front of her family without like really giving her the chance to like say no.
Yeah,
obviously she's not
I am very
to,
much
but...
the person who I do not like public proposals because I don't like the like putting on the spotness that it does to your partner.
It can go bad.
Unless you have their consent. Like if you have discussed with your partner, hey, would you be comfortable getting married or getting engaged or something? And they said yes. You can follow that up with the like, hey, would like a public thing be okay kind of thing. Like, yeah, like get the okay, but don't just like pop the question with someone in front of their family or yours. Like, ugh.
It did seem like he had notified the family about it. There's like a few like shared looks or like sly smirks from like the dad and some of the family members.
Could be chalked up also to obviously her whole family likes him and wants them to get married.
Like everyone saw this coming.
But still, life is not a Hallmark movie. As much as sometimes we may wish it was.
But I don't know, the movie was fine. That's the problem with it, is like I was expecting to think like, this movie looks fun. It looks like it's going to be fun and funny, and maybe it will be very endearing. And I kind of came away with it being like the lowest rated of all of these.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was
okay.
I give it 3 gingerbread houses out of 5.
Yeah. It was an okay movie. It was watchable.
My own little experiment was something that you might realize after watching Christmas movie is that they never let you forget that it's a Christmas movie. No. There's decorations in every room of every scene of every house or whatever. There are, I counted, 22 Christmas trees that are unique and individual throughout this movie, which is a low number compared to the other 2 that we watched, and that I did not count on.
No.
And it is very popular for the main characters or the love interests to be wearing red or green, opposing each other.
If y'all look up Hallmark Christmas movie like posters, it is just like the same 90% of the time. It's the same looking white actor and actress next to each other, in one in red and one in green.
Yes,
they're all going to be like that.
It's all like that, and they keep to it throughout the movies, too. And it's fun. At least they have some differing outfits, too, and it's fine. The looks are good, mostly. Yeah. There's a few choices there, but, we let it go. But, yeah, that was A Boyfriend of Christmas Past. It was a decent movie. I would not say it was great, and,
put it on your list if you want to, but, like, don't need it.
Not all of us can be the next one.
No.
Next Stop Christmas, starring Lindsay Fonseca as Angie, the main actress, or the main character. Lindsay Fonseca can previously be seen in both Kick-Ass movies, as well as How I Met Your Mother as Ted Mosby's future daughter. In the, some episodes where he is shown to be talking to the boy from Wizards of Waverly Place and another girl. She's the girl! Yay! I watched a lot of that show. The man opposite her, Ben, is played by Chandler Massey, known for his role as Will Horton in over 1,000 episodes of Days of Our Lives.
Well,
he is a soap opera actor. I don't know if that show is still going on. I don't think it is, from what IMDb told me. There's a lot of soap operas out there, I know, but he... if you are a Days of Our Lives fan, you probably know who Will Horton is. Again, I don't. But the other fun things are also starring in this movie as this movie's Magic Man, the train conductor, not named, just as the train conductor, is Christopher Lloyd of Back to the Future fame. But more importantly, as the third voice actor of Master Xehanort from the Kingdom Hearts series, where he played Master Xehanort in the Remind DLC of Kingdom Hearts 3. The other fun thing that I found out while looking through the actors, Angie's mom, whose name I don't remember, is played by Leia Thompson, who also starred in Back to the Future alongside Christopher Lloyd, and a few other products. She was Marty McFly's mom, the young version of Marty McFly's mom.
Okay.
Apparently the two of them have starred in a few different movies together.
Besties.
Except here's the thing. I can't say starred. They've been in movies together, but she remarks that it is funny that their characters have never interacted in any of the movies they have been in together. It is very funny, but those are my actor notes for this one. Next Stop Christmas was a very fun movie.
It's a very fun movie.
We start off on a really weird scene with heart surgery or something, or brain surgery. What is neurology?
She is a neurologist, so she does literally brain surgery. She's
performing brain surgery alongside other doctors, and they cannot stop making Christmas jokes and puns while operating on someone.
Someone
whose life is in
gone
your hands.
under for brain surgery, and your doctor is just making Jingle Bells jokes. Like,
and maybe look, I've only seen a few episodes of Grey's Anatomy. Maybe that's just how it is sometimes.
It probably is. You know, in that line of work, you gotta have some fun.
Angie Reynolds is a woman who is married to her job. Yeah. Another running theme in these movies, similar to Lauren and similar to Ethan, except she maybe has the excuse that she is a medical professional and literally is saving lives.
She is literally a brain surgeon.
She gets a FaceTime call from her family back at her hometown, from her mother, her sister, and her nephew. Her nephew, Henrik, has the worst voice, and it's a good thing he only has 2 lines in this movie. It is very bad. I am sorry, kid. I hope puberty treats you better.
I hope it hits you like a train, yeah.
Angie's mom sort of gets on her case about not showing up for Christmas again. She has not been home for Christmas in many years because she's been through medical school, and she is also a top doctor at this hospital.
We very much get that Angie has just avoided her family for a couple of years now for Christmas, and is intending to not even go home to stay with her family for Christmas.
She is on call at the hospital, so she has an excuse as like, hey, I can't go anywhere. They could call me in at him to come.
Just in case someone needs some surprise brain surgery on Christmas.
People get pretty drunk and will hit their heads.
We need you on hand. So her intent is to just kind of go home or go get some drinks and spend Christmas quietly and alone at best.
She goes to a bar with her friend, and while they are having drinks, while they get their white girl wasted on the TV comes this sports news reporter, very popular, very well known apparently in the world, nationally.
With the worst
facial hair. His name is Tyler Grant, and he was one of Angie's ex-boyfriends who tried to propose to her on Christmas years and years ago, like 10 years ago. And she turned him down and was like, nope, I'm good. But apparently it was also only after a few months of dating each other, so maybe she dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, it was like Lauren, she said no. But unlike Lauren, she kind of had some better reasons, which we find out.
Before she can get into this with her friend, she spots, another person spots her, a familiar face from her past. A man by the name of Ben shows up, who was a childhood friend who grew up alongside Angie. And while she thought he was going to get into family law like he always wanted to, he instead got into... do you remember what kind of law practice?
Corporate. He got into corporate law.
And the shocks her is like, hey, family law was your dream. What happened? He was like, things happened. Corporate law just sort of came to me. I got the in. He's been in town for like 6 months now and has not tried to contact her, to which she's a little offended by, but they sort of like leave off on amicable circumstances. She goes home, her friend goes to hang out with Ben and his friends.
You were my bestie, why haven't you talked to me? You were my bestie, you never talked to me. And it's like,
they sort of like, hey, well, people fall apart, it happens.
Yeah.
And she decides to go home. She decides to and tries. She does not make it there.
Until she gets to the central station and notices, for some reason, a very old-timey ticket booth, complete with, like, the grate in front of it and everything. Thinks absolutely nothing of this, and asks the man for a train home. And he gives her a Willy Wonka-esque golden ticket.
He gives her the golden ticket.
Which she still doesn't question at all. Like, she is just oblivious to the plot.
She goes to give it to the person, like, taking tickets right before getting on the subway train, and he's like, what is this? What are you handing me? She's like, I don't know, the old man gave it to me, and he's like, oh yeah, I guess must be like some kind of promotion. You'd think they'd tell us about it.
He brushes it off, yeah, as a promotion.
Yeah, I was like, okay, sure, whatever, here you go, have a good ride. She's like, okay, yeah, bye. And she goes to sit down on a train, she goes to take a nap on the subway, and when she wakes up, she is no longer in Kansas anymore, Toto.
She is not on the train she was on, she is now on the Polar Express.
She's now on the Polar Express. She has been, not to her knowledge yet, but to her soon-to-find-out knowledge, transported in time back 10 years to the year 2011. She is immediately sat down next to Tyler Grant, her old boyfriend, who she has not had contact with in literal 10 years, who greets her as if they have been together for a long time now. And they have, because she's in the past, and she has not yet realized this.
Yeah.
She gets up to go run away from the situation that is very alarming to her, and finds Christopher Lloyd sitting and waiting to interrogate her about what she wants from her life.
She wants to go back home with the round ticket trip that she has, that he gave her, but now she finds that half of the ticket is just erased. And he says he can't bring her home until she is able to fix her ticket and find her way
Very
back.
devious man, Christopher Lloyd. I think he could just do that. I think he just does time magic.
I absolutely think, yeah. It fits in with his characters. Yeah. He's just a time wizard.
So yet again, we have another moment of a magic man enacting a scenario upon their poor victim without their consent, 100%. Like, only the vaguest of consents here.
This was even worse in a way than A Kiss Before Christmas, because Santa does a monkey's paw, but he does offer it first to Ethan. In this, it just happens. This is Christopher Lloyd's little social experiment of, wouldn't it be funny if I sent a woman back in time just to see what she does?
Honestly, if you sent me back in time 10 years, I'd probably lose my shit. I'd be like, I'm not going through this again. No way. I do not want to be sent back to the year 2011. Bye.
No.
And
I would hate every minute.
As it is joked upon later, you are going to make this woman go back through medical school again? Fuck that.
Again?
But Angie learns that she is going to have she is going to have to figure out what she can do to fix this and get back in time. And a little niggle of an idea pops in her mind that this is this time that Tyler is going to propose to her.
Yeah.
So maybe she just has to accept this time. The way she acts around her family is going to get her committed. She starts saying things like, in the future tense, like, or in the past tense, like, oh, Boomer, my pet, my family dog, you're alive.
You're still alive.
Or, oh, Henrik, he looks exactly like he looked when he was 4 years old. When?
Yeah. It is the very funny thing of versus our first film, where it's coming up to someone who you had lived your life with and saying, hey, I know what happened in this alternate timeline, versus being sent back in time with all the knowledge you have of your future and expressing that to multiple people of what will be versus what had been.
I mean, she plays it off and then she sort of like works through everything pretty quickly, so props to her.
Yeah.
Other notes are some quick things that get touched upon in the movie, but we should probably just get them out of the way now. Mm-hmm. In the future, we learn that her mom and dad are divorced. Her dad moved off to Arizona with a new family, a new life, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And her mom is obviously still a little torn up about it. Back in the past, they are still together, and they are showing signs of separation. They are not as close as they used to be, but they still have like 8 years until they get divorced. But she decides, I'm going to fix that. Her sister, Kristen, is trying to have another child with her husband. This gets remarked upon multiple times. Her young son, Henrik, wants a baby brother or sister for Christmas, of course, as kids do, aren't they the darndest? And we find out that Kristen is having trouble conceiving, and that in the future we learn that they end up trying to adopt a special little girl, but are having trouble with it. But we will come back around to that later. What we need to know is that the movie does keep bringing around the side plot of Kristen being torn up that she cannot have another physical birth and being very upset about it, which, hey, that is all within her right to be.
Yeah.
But those are the other big family notes to note upon. Everyone loves Tyler. He's such a nice and charming guy. He's really into sports. The next day after she comes back in time, they go to Santa's workshop to go pick out a Christmas tree. Her dad is very meticulous and needs the perfect one. And while they go looking for that, Angie and Tyler take Henrik to go meet Santa, who is revealed to be Ben, her childhood friend, now 10 years in the past. He's kind of got this, like, I was thinking this but didn't say it, he's kind of got like this like nerdy Chris Evans look to him.
Yeah,
he just has, he's like Chris Evans vibes. It works for him, it's fine, he's nice. Tyler is immediately weird about how close Angie and Ben are to each other.
He's pretty jealous.
Even though everyone is like, they grew up to get, like, Ben was, like, raised around us. Like, Ben doesn't have a family. Angie's parents were like his parents, and they just spent all their time together. And yes, Ben does have feelings for Angie, but that's not the point here. It's also just, like, Angie herself is like, no, Ben's just my best friend. I don't see him like that.
Right.
Yet. But there's some weird vibes going on between Tyler, Ben, and Angie. As she falls asleep, she gets transported back to the train again. Christopher Lloyd cannot stop whisking this girl away.
He just keeps summoning her against her will to drop her off in new places.
So what have we learned? She, like, touches base with her. And she's like, I don't know. I guess I gotta get Tyler to marry me this time or something, or accept the proposal.
I will say our main actress is very good at this kind of whimsical comedy that she just kind of goes with. She bounces off her co-stars very well. She and Ben, their chemistry just on screen is phenomenal. They just the dialogue, the characterization, they do a really great job together. It's so
snappy in a way that the previous two movies weren't.
Right.
Lauren and Nate in Boyfriends did not have the best chemistry. They were fine. You could tell, like, there was something there, but it was all right. Because for Christmas, the actors had really good chemistry, and obviously they would because they had starred opposite each other for years in a different show altogether. So they had time, but it wasn't like the dialogue between them wasn't snappy. It didn't feel like a natural conversation. It felt like a movie conversation.
This does, like I said, it's very whimsical, is how I would describe this
and
movie.
it's nice. It's a nice, like, again, a breath of fresh air. It's like, it's fun to see these characters like interact. They have a scene immediately after where Christopher Lloyd drops Angie off at Santa's workshop again, and she surprises Ben there, and she reveals to him, hey, I'm from the future. I've been sent back to the past, to this day, or to this week, and I need to fix things. I need to tell someone. And again, their dynamic there is fantastic. It almost feels like an improv scene where they were just told, here's the idea of the scene, run with it, here's the endpoint that we need you to get to, and they get there, and it's really fun. It's awesome. I really like these characters. I think it is really surprising how, like, well these characters worked for me. And not all, and yes, Ben does have the, oh, I secretly love you bit about him, but it doesn't feel as forced as Nate's was for Lauren. It felt a lot more natural.
He handles things a lot better, and it definitely kind of is the, like, where Lauren dodging Nate's feelings led him to decide, I'm not going to keep you in my life anymore. Ben is kind of like, well, this sucks, but I don't want this to, like, go for the worst kind of thing. Which, better on him, honestly. Yeah. This movie also is kind of terrifying, if you think about it.
Christopher Lloyd will not leave you alone.
Not only has this magic man taken you from your timeline, but he is essentially rewinding your timeline and telling you, if you don't change your future, you will be stuck in the past again. And that's horrifying.
Without, like, the stipulation that, like, at least in Ethan's world, if he didn't change things, he would have forgotten and just reverted back to his
It was still going to be, you're stuck in this timeline, but it's like you still remembered, or he would have forgotten who he was. But it was in getting back to your home versus we're changing your entire future based on your actions now.
Things are not going to be the same. No. The minor things she had already done in her time here probably would drastically change her history.
Oh, for sure.
But this movie doesn't really know the butterfly effect. It doesn't really get into it at all. Like, some things change.
It is holiday magic, which means Christopher Lloyd has the power to bend reality and time to his will. To say, your future will change, but the rest of the universe will
Christopher
not.
Lloyd might be
which
a
is
trickster
still
god,
terrifying.
But
I think so, yeah.
At least he's not a dick.
No. He's having a good time. And he wants her to succeed,
he looks so old in this movie. And he is an old man. So don't get it twisted, but he looks like way old in this movie. And it is a very funny look for him.
I do think, though, that despite this, it is a little weird in a way, because they go on from, like, Angie trying to figure out, how do I get back to my time, or how do I get back to the future on the Polar Express, of realizing she has to make changes for the better, is still on the, like, oh, I need to marry my ex thing, but she also decides, well, I'm not really friends with my sister in the future anymore, so let me patch my relationship up with her so we can be close again, so we can fix things.
Let me fix my relationship with my sister. Let me fix my parents' relationship. Let me tell them, hey, adoption's always a good thing to do for her sister's problems.
Because we have it expressed at the beginning that she is her sister is trying to adopt a kid, but legal red tape is in the way, as our country makes it so. And so they can't really do anything about that. But now she's kind of pushing this because her sister just can't get natural birth means to work. But yeah, she wants to fix her parents' relationship as well so that they don't get divorced. Sets up a big old Christmas party that's already a thing, but she gets the host to kind of sway things to get her parents back together, which of course it works out. Huzzah. Christmas Hallmark.
We have the events of Tyler doesn't propose to her at the moment that she thought he would. Then proposes to her at a different moment in the most smooth way I've ever seen it. The young couples of Kristen and her husband, Angie and Tyler, as well as Ben and side white girl who's got the most energy I've seen in my life.
She's so excited to be here.
She's like a chihuahua. Love her to death. They all go off to have a snowball fight with each other at like 8 at night while it's like snowing down hard on them. And they end up at like a gazebo, this like very nicely decorated gazebo, where Tyler packs the ring box in a snowball very sneakily and says, oh, I'm going to throw the first snowball in, tosses it at Angie, and she catches it. And it's like, what the fuck? What is in here? And she pulls out the ring, or the ring box, and he proposes to her right then and there, and she excitedly says yes, to Ben's dismay, because he's still in love with her. Go figure.
He's a very sad boy about it, yeah.
She thinks, yes, he proposed, I win! Take that, Christopher Lloyd!
I can get back to safety in my time.
And then she goes back to, and then Christopher Lloyd transports her back to the train again, and she realizes, oh, the ticket still isn't finished yet. fuck. What do I do? What am I
What
missing?
have I done? Yeah.
We get some other things of Tyler's job is advancing. He got the interview, and he got the job for this like national broadcast position that he wanted to, and him and Angie are supposed to fly out to Barcelona on Christmas Eve after she has told him, hey, this party on Christmas Eve means a lot to me and also a lot to my family. I want to be here for it. And he's just like, yeah, but Barcelona, my job, it's cool. And he's like, okay, yeah, we'll move it to the next day.
I'm doing this for us.
Like, okay, well, we'll fly out on Christmas Day instead. Time passes. She realizes, hey, there's some issues here, bud. Your job is advancing.
We're not working.
You kind of are focusing on your job, and I need to focus on my job. You obviously want me to be with you wherever you travel off to, but I need to stay where I'm at to finish off medical school and have a position at a hospital, and things just aren't working out. She's also realized at this point that she's also in love with Ben, and that Ben loves her. Go figure, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they split. He goes off to Barcelona apparently by himself, and it's fine. They have a simple breakup. It's not a big deal. He's obviously like, well, I wanted this to work out, and she's like, I did too, but we're just not the one for each other.
But I also know the future, and I know that you're going to find someone better.
I know the future, and saying yes to your proposal didn't fix me. So later, bud. Sorry.
This is fine. Yeah, you're not the one because Christopher Lloyd has determined my fate for me.
In a fun twist, he also was very married to his job in a way that a lot of the main characters are. And obviously it didn't work out. So, hey, everyone's happy. She ends up at like a gathering around a big Christmas tree with her family.
Yeah, she's at the little gathering with her family. Everyone's kind of like reconciled.
Yeah. Everyone's
over
happy.
Things.
Like everyone's happy except for her and except for Ben, because Ben is at the Santa's workshop. While Angie has the realization that, oh yes, I do indeed love Ben.
He's the one.
And realizing that she loves him is what triggers Christopher Lloyd to pop up and say, time's running out. It's time to get going.
You've done it.
Her ticket has been fully filled out again. She has a return trip back to the future. And she calls Ben and is like, hey, I love you. And I want to see you again, but I gotta go. I need to go back right now. If I don't go back right now, I'm gonna be stuck here.
Christopher Lloyd is summoning me
Christopher
away.
Lloyd is not giving me any moments to have this heart-to-heart with you on like a reasonable level. So meet me in 10 years. Meet me in 10 years at the Hamilton on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We'll talk then.
Like I said, it's very that like moment in Howl's Moving Castle where she's like, come find me in the future.
It is, it's kind of cute. It's nice.
Yeah.
But Ben tries to rush off to the train station in time, but he doesn't make it. All he sees is the train get pulled through a magical time portal, returning from whence it came, and Angie wakes up back where she fell asleep and is called in by the hospital. She goes to work, leaves, and then realizes, oh shit, I need to go meet Ben at the place we'd said.
I was supposed to go find my mans.
She gets dressed up in a beautiful green dress, and it's closing time because it is Christmas Eve and they don't get much patronage on Christmas Eve. And she thinks, man, I missed him.
I missed it.
Damn. And then he shows up behind her. It's fine. He's here.
Yeah, of course. Everything's fine. They get together. They get engaged. Right there.
Well, here's the weird thing, is it feels like it implies that time did change, that they have been together for a while now.
Well, we already see that time changed because when she gets back, she also realizes or finds out her dad and her mom never divorced, and they're still happy together. Her sister did get another child through adoption, which Ben helped because he went into family law this time the way he wanted to. And we get the implication that she and Ben did get together after her time jump.
She has like this moment of like, oh yeah, I remember now. Like, I remember these, I'm getting these memories back that I didn't experience myself.
I remember my time travel adventures, yeah.
So I guess it's a fun way to wrap things up, but it is like, it would have been interesting to be like, oh, well, they literally did not contact each other until 10 years later on this exact moment, which would be insane from Ben's point of view, where he could have just called her the next day and like, hey, what's up?
I just knew where to find you kind of thing. But this is why. But no, it is the implication that I guess, yeah, she left and whatever changed in the timeline, he would have gotten in touch with her and I assume pursued things and they worked out. And that's where that went. And they're together. So after 10 years, they end up together and get married, or would.
Happily ever after.
Yeah.
That's the movie. I mean, we get a quick...
Thanks, Christopher Lloyd.
We get a quick moment of Christopher Lloyd winking at the camera, holding up a newspaper that says, Tyler Grant got engaged. And that's it. Everyone had a happy ending, even Tyler. So, hey, good for him. It's a good movie. I think it is solid. I don't know if I put it above Kiss Before Christmas. I think that movie is very endearing, but I liked the humor in this one. I liked the characters a lot. I liked the dynamics.
It knows what it's doing, and the actors work, like I said, very well with each other. They have a good time, and it sets itself up well. You know what you're getting into, and it doesn't overstay anything either.
While Boyfriends of Christmas Past felt like it dragged on at a few points and felt like the runtime really pushed its runtime. This one felt like it used its time very well. I never felt like it dragged too much. A little bit of the plot is a little contrived, but I can let it go because...
But that's also just time travel is hard, especially when...
It's alright.
Again, we're not expecting, like, sci-fi writer quality from Hallmark.
For what they had, they did well with it. So, hey, I can't complain.
Yeah.
I give this movie 4 Chugga Chugga Choo Choos out of 5.
It's a good time.
It's a good movie. Go watch it.
I'm
go
proud
watch
of
it. Go watch all these movies. Tell us what you think about them.
Watch at least two of those.
them. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many out there. Just go watch some movies. Go watch some movies. Go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's a great movie.
I trust you on that.
But that's our 3 movies for our theme of magical Christmas. Some ups and downs, but mostly ups, and honestly a lot of surprising, very endearing moments from these movies.
I again think we weren't going into this expecting a lot. And we're pleasantly surprised to have gotten the quality that we did from these movies. They were better than I expected. I, again, was expecting just kind of like cheesy, samey kind of things, and not getting that so far. Like, obviously there's still going to be a level of that, but I still enjoy what I've been given.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, this little experiment of ours was really fun. And it's not even over yet. Yeah. This was just our first week of A Christmas in July.
So many more movies.
A few more. We've got 3 more weeks ahead of us. Next week's theme is A Royal Christmas, where one character, usually a woman, I think all of these are women that end up in this situation, have a chance meeting with a figure of royalty or higher status than them, playing off of class and whatnot, and being whisked away into a different world of sorts. Not a magical world, but more of the world of being rich now, I guess. Mm-hmm. The magic that everyone wants to. You want to be whisked away by a prince or princess and told you don't have to worry about anything in life anymore. But yeah, that's our show. At least for this week. Any final thoughts? Any hopes and dreams?
I am again pretty impressed by what we are dealing with so far. Because again, they're good, entertaining times.
I went in thinking, not that these were going to be miserable, but that I would be like more bored than anything. And the only time I was ever really bored was like a few of the down moments in Boyfriends of Christmas Past. So, hey, so far so good in my opinion.
Yeah, proud of them.
How do we end a podcast?
Give us your money.
Follow us at Patreon at www.patreon.com. Just go there.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Will?
I don't have an internet presence, so
You don't want to plug anything?
No.
You don't want the people to
I'm not
find you. Don't want to be
plugging
found. You don't want to be known and seen.
I am an enigma who will work on that in future.
How dare you? Well, this has been Holidaze podcast, a wonderful show about a wonderful time of the year. What time of the year? It depends on the date. You will probably, by the time this comes out, find us on Twitter. I will have to put that together, and that'll probably be in the show notes for this. We're sort of flying off the handle at the moment. We'll see what happens. You can probably find the show on YouTube, as well as SoundCloud, if I can get things set up the way I want to. Wherever you want to listen to this at. Tell your friends, tell your family. Tell your mom. Your mom might like this. I don't think we cussed too much in this.
Yeah. This not actually.
So if
we did better than we've done.
If you have a nice Christian mother who enjoys her wonderful little Hallmark movies, she might like this.
Her little old Hallmark experience.
If she's got like a few hours of time to just sit down and listen to a podcast, I don't know. We're not a murder mystery podcast yet, but maybe one day.
No. There is a whole thing of Hallmark murder mysteries.
God, we'll have to get into that another time. What is the best time of the year for a murder mystery?
When was Columbo released?
Let's watch Columbo. Can we scrap this and make a Columbo podcast instead?
Welcome to the Columbo,
welcome to the Columbo podcast. Just a second there. Whatever he says, I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's small Columbo when you need him?
Doing his best.
Thanks you all for watching. Watching? God damn it. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
I've been Tyler. He's been Will. We'll be back here next week with another episode. And until the end of this month, we'll have another episode every Sunday. And we'll see where we go from there. We have more ideas for the rest of the year. We'll see if we could stick to them or if our ideas pan out. Maybe the show will flounder. Maybe we'll get ADHD'd away. Who could say? The future is... We don't know the future. And we're also not being teleported to a different reality or the past by Christopher Lloyd or a magic man of sorts. So we don't know what the future holds. But until next time, what's a good sign-off?
Unpleasant.
Seasons,
everybody.
reasons, everyone. Good night.